Here I am in ground zero of the Ebola crisis in Liberia. Just been spending some time with Kendall and his wife, Bev, who essentially, when Ebola broke out here, they stayed. They didn't run. Their faith made them want to stay and make a difference. And they essentially took a building from the Samaritan's Purse office and they turned it into an Ebola ward. Behind this wall here was where you got checked in. And they determined if you had Ebola, you would come through this door here into this room. And what they did was they panelled it off. So there was different beds in here. There's essentially had 40 beds. And when 40 beds were full, they then ended up building another wing and then another wing. And the final wing, which was called Elwa 3, held about 400 patients. They had thousands and thousands and thousands of people who came through here. And they stayed. Their faith made them stay. They said that they wouldn't dream of doing anything else and going. And I just wonder how much our faith in the UK, if something like this broke out in the UK, would we stay or would we want to run and hide somewhere safer? And they were telling us stories about people that came in who literally had blood coming through their eyes and Ebola was on the floor as they're vomiting Ebola on the floor. And they're in a full costume and they're kind of mopping it up. And you just think, how does anybody ever, it's like a movie. I mean, I've never heard anything as, I don't know, words can't express just the stories that they're sharing of people who've lost their lives here, families. And then let me just show you this. So when somebody died, this was literally the morgue. So this is where people would be laid out. And you see the door there that's been plastered in. That's one of the doors where people would be washed to go out from the hospital wing. And the door there is where bodies would go out to the back of a lorry van and then essentially were burned. Later they became buried because they worked out kind of how they could bury them, and there's a plot of land where they've done that. But thousands and thousands of people came through here. And I've been hearing about the doctor here that was hours away from death, and literally the vaccine came hours before he died, and the vaccine was tried here, and he was the first person to use the vaccine. He was then taken from here and survived, and has written an incredible book about his story. I'm more and more I'm realizing that we in the West, in England, take our faith and we don't allow it to transform the way that we think. We don't allow it to transform the way that we behave. If something broke out like Ebola in our neighbourhood, would we scarper and run, or would we stay there? Would we stay there and serve and be willing to give your life? And Kent was saying that there was some nights where he thought his wife, she'd got it, she'd caught it. And how did they behave? How did they act when she came back to the house? But yet they stayed to serve. Yeah, it's crazy.